Udja, Uben Nefer has good rising and great awakenings. Welcome to day 5 of 21 days of self-care, healing post-traumatic slave syndrome with sound, and also global prayer. And we have Sankofa step number 5, which is build esteem, healthy and accurate. Udja, Uben Nefer has beautiful rising and great awakenings, enlightenment. Welcome to day 5 of 21 days of self-care and global prayer, healing post-traumatic slave syndrome with sound. Today is May 14th, and the Sankofa step for today, Sankofa step number 5, is build esteem, healthy and accurate. Healthy esteem is a reflection of what you have contributed and the awareness of your contribution. And this is a quote from Dr. Joy DeGruy, who came up with the concept of post-traumatic slave syndrome. She took a look at all the ailments afflicting people of color and African Americans, the African diaspora, Black people, and was like, all of these problems are issues that came about as a result of slavery. And rather than trying to heal each one individually, such as high blood pressure, cholesterol, heart attack, stroke, depression, poverty, police brutality, diabetes, arthritis, all of these things are a result of our interaction with the colonizers, with the Europeans, when they first arrived on the shores. So she decided we should just deal with them as a symptom of a much deeper issue, which is the trauma that we've all experienced, or our ancestors experienced and passed on to us. And plus we're dealing with another form of slavery, racism today. So we're dealing with the racism and enslavement of our ancestors as well as the oppression of today. Okay, so for day 5 of this 10-day protocol, we look at the chart to determine which planetary alignments we're going to focus on, and that will determine which tuning forks we use, and then that in turn determines which netters or cosmic forces or principles will be honored or worshipped or adored during the global prayer session with the Cosmic Chimes and Chanting. So the meridians we're going to do today are for the bladder meridian and the kidney meridian. And the extraordinary vessels will be the Chang and the Yang Wei. And the step 5 treatment for this protocol will be the 3 treasures. And the 3 treasures is the one that unites your kidney point, which is where your purpose is, with your desires, so that your desires are always in alignment with your purpose. And your thoughts, so that your thoughts are always in alignment with your heart desires, in alignment with your purpose. And so based on the chart, the alignment for the chart, I have decided to work with Pluto, Jupiter, Pallas Athena, and Saturn. Pluto and Jupiter are in Sidereal Sagittarius, and Pallas Athena and Saturn are in Sidereal Capricorn. And at this moment, Pluto, Jupiter, and Saturn are retrograde, and Pallas Athena will be going retrograde any minute now, maybe now. So I've decided to choose those alignments. So here's a summary of my self-care session. I've been adding onto the fork to remove obstacles and blocks with Asar, onto an Asar, or Zodiac and Pluto. And then I use Pluto and Jupiter, or Asar and Amun, and they're both in Sidereal Sagittarius, which is ruled by this tone. And then I also did some with Saturn and Jupiter. Saturn is in Capricorn and Jupiter is in Sagittarius. Of course, I did the high, mid, and low range frequencies. And for the bladder and kidney meridians, Rage and terror are always present. The kidney and bladder meridians mediate the freeze response and our sense of safety. And now for the reading for the Chong and the Yang Wei. The Chong, moving the chi between the kidneys, intergenerational patterns, treats cellular memory, genetic disorders, inherited traits, substance abuse, digestive center, difficult issues, difficult to digest, grandparent-grandchild, ancestral imprinting, clears both muscular memory and cellular memory, trauma, PTSD, cellular memory, old trauma, new trauma, kidney reproductive issues, prostate issues, menstrual issues, neutral space between the kidneys. And then the Yang Wei, we did that yesterday, or for day 4. The Xiao Yang pattern, autoimmune disorders, pathogens stuck in the body. Pathogens need to be pushed out. It can also mean like an old habit or a thought that keeps looping. Some of it remains in the body. The Xiao Yang Hotel. There it lies dormant, gaining strength and waits for the opportunity to strike. Shows up when the host becomes weak, when you're triggered. So I wanted to read. I've got this wonderful book by Dr. Sheldon Caesar. He's a naturopathic, holistic MD that I've been seeing recently. His office is not too far from where I live, so it's very convenient. And he has a book called The Most Wonderful Book of Affirmations Ever Written. And he uses them when you go to see him. Part of the treatment is to listen to these affirmations. So he's got a whole chapter on self-esteem, so I wanted to read a few of those. I do not believe that anything can ever demoralize my inner self. My inner self never feels demoralized for any reason. My inner self does not believe that I should ever feel demoralized. My inner self never feels ashamed about anything that happened in the past. I do not believe that my inner self should feel ashamed of anything that happened in the past for any reason. I do not believe that my inner self should feel embarrassed about anything that happened in the past for any reason. My inner self does not feel ashamed and will never feel ashamed for any reason. My inner self does not feel embarrassed and will never feel embarrassed for any reason. My inner self does not believe that I should ever feel ashamed or embarrassed for any reason. My inner self does not feel traumatized and will never feel traumatized for any reason. My inner self will never have low self-esteem for any reason. My inner self-esteem will always be high. My inner self never feels insecure for any reason. My inner self does not believe that I should ever allow myself to be taken advantage of for any reason. My inner self always feels wanted. My inner self never feels unwanted for any reason. My inner self always believes I should feel gifted. So ideally you would repeat those 3 times, but I just wanted to include them in the video. Okay, so that's the summary for the self-care session that I did on myself on this day 5, May 14th. And now stay tuned for the global prayer attempt. Udja, Uben Nefer, good rising and great awakenings. And welcome to day 5 of the 21 days of self-care and global prayer, healing post-traumatic slave syndrome, or PTSS, with sound. And I trust that you have already watched the accompanying video, which gives a summary of the self-care protocol that I did earlier, and laid out the intentions for the session. Here's a recap of the intentions. For the bladder and kidney meridian, melting the rage and terror that we have lived through, that our ancestors lived through. It's not helping us. It's not helping us. And it's time for us to feel safe from the past. Because it's just the thought or the memory of the past that is causing us trauma now, causing us trouble. We have to let go of the past in order to be fully present, to face the madness that we're living in today. We have to let go of, to let go of the madness from the past. Like Dr. Joy said, when these type of feelings come up, we need to remember all of the contributions that we've made, that our nations have made, that we've made individually, and be aware of the contributions that we have made. And that is something for me to reflect on, because I have made contributions, but it doesn't seem like I'm aware of the contributions, because I still, I have ego-based issues. Like the last one we worked on, this is the one, build self-esteem, healthy and accurate. Yeah, that's something that I really could use some more work on. And that's why I decided to do these sessions, because they were helping me when I did it the first time. Okay. And then when we think about the contributions that our ancestors have made and how difficult it is to have that acknowledged. Alrighty, and let's see, anything else I want to mention? Oh, yeah, and then I read several affirmations for raising self-esteem by this fantastic collection of affirmations by Dr. Sheldon Caesar. So all the things that I read and all the things that I've been talking about are going into the intentions for this global prayer. And we have Pallas Athena, or Nit, Pluto Asar, Jupiter Amun, Saturn Geb, and Anpu, the zodiac fork for zodiac tone for removing blocks and opening the way. So we are moving past limitations and boundaries and restrictions, and eliminating trauma from the past, and opening the way for positivity and growth, moving towards our enlightenment. Nukpu Asar Nukpu Amu Nukpu Nukpuge Nukpu Anpu Nukpu Nukpune Nukpu Asar Nukpu Amu Nukpu Nukpuge Nukpu Anpu Nukpu Nukpune I thought I was about to take off into outer space. My chair just did some rearranging. A tap.